Hi.
Howdy.
I'm starting to be like you. I'm creating excuses. I think I logged like maybe 2 hours since our last meeting, and I live streamed what I meant to do, and then I went down a rabbit hole of something that wasn't working. I spent like half an hour fixing that, and I was scatterbrained during my whole live stream as I was attempting to implement a event store running on Azure.
Okay.
So I've been spending hella hours on my gainfully employment project. Like I've been doing like 60 hours a week, probably more than that for the past 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm
Just
really
into
good,
the
man.
just into that project.
Well, yeah, because all this practice I've been doing in F sharp and domain modeling and the lessons learned from this hobby project of remember the conversation we had maybe a month or two ago about how I believe it's so important when doing integration to do test driven development on the integration points, um, especially when there's some orchestration involved. Like, I'm taking all the lessons learned from the retrospective of well, that's probably too much because all lessons learned and retrospective mean the same thing. So I'm taking all lessons learned from my passion project, and I'm like just with a Ginsu knife, just slicing through this project with almost like no resistance. Any resistance that I do catch or might catch is going to be the human factor of other people that aren't happy with the technologies that I'm using. But how fast do they deliver, and how fast do I deliver? Right. So, anyways.
Yep. Well, cool. Yeah, I don't think it's an excuse to if you're, you know, putting your side project on hold to really bust through a real project that's making you money.
Well, I mean, my excuse is the recession's here.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
I'm
we're in
already
unprecedented times, man.
yeah, I'm already hella competitive when it comes to attempting to demonstrate my value when when the board or when management's trying to pick and choose who gets on their nerves or who isn't really pulling their weight. Like I mean, it's probably taboo to talk about, but I don't know if it's the black side of me pulling the race card, but I'm hella competitive, man. Like I'm like an athlete, except I'm in software engineering. So I don't know. I kind of get off on it, especially during my demos. So like your daily status meeting in the morning is supposed to be like brief to the point. Do you have any impediments? It's supposed to be what did you get done, not what you're working on.
Yep.
But I use that as an opportunity to show off and do demos. So I share my desktop. I launch the emulator and I discuss like 3 or 4 bullet points that I completed, and I just make sure that I like brag. I mean, I'm boasting, but I'm not. I'm the way I'm doing it. I'm kind of boasting. Well, it's not boasting. I'm marketing myself without
Hmm.
bragging about it, right? Because at the end of the day, no one's going to complain about, hey, I really wish you would stop demoing the progress that you made yesterday. Like
Yeah. Well,
no manager, no one's paying the bill is going to say that. They want to see
uh,
what you got done.
was the product owner, or assuming you use that designation, it's somebody who's from the business actually in these meetings too?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, they're
that's the whole
probably loving
motivation.
it. Yeah,
That's the whole motivation.
I guess
So
the main thing you'd have to look for is just always look at their reaction or try to gauge their reaction, and if they seem bored or annoyed, uh, which I doubt they would be. Most product owners are freaking excited whenever they see anything
yeah,
that's new.
it's not bored or annoyed when you only give me 3 weeks to get it done.
Yeah,
Like so. my what I've learned in life, I think it's applicable towards almost everything, is manage expectations, right? Like be proactive. And it's kind of like when in interviews, right? In the technical interview, I make sure I do as much talking as I possibly can so that they can expose gaps in me. So I control the conversation, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so it's very similar. Like my strategy with management is to give them the options that I want them to pick from. And then I know there's a whole bunch of other options, but I'm not going to expose that to them. And I want the conversation to revolve around what I'm exposing to them. It's kind of like Republican or Democrat. Yeah, you have free choice, right? But I'm only going to give you two. So that's the strategy that I try to employ. But I mean, I'm going ham like on this. So I'm pretty excited. But I think a conversation about what my real bill rate is versus what I'm getting paid, I'm kind of scared to have that conversation just because of the economic environment that we're in. Um, yeah, it's a two-edged sword, I guess. So,
Yeah,
what's going on with you?
working from home still. No, like everyone is.
Have they had any conversations about issuing pay cuts or?
No,
Oh,
no, and the client that we have is in one of these essential. Uh, is kind of like essential because we're manufacturing, and specifically they do a lot of medical manufacturing. So
okay.
um, so the client that we have still needs to get their stuff done, and they've got a huge project that's coming to fruition and supposed to come to fruition this summer. So it's not, they don't really, can't really afford to just say, hey, we're just not going to do this anymore. Well, they could, I mean, but they'd be throwing away 3 years of work. So they're not going to do that. And they got enough cash in the bank, from what I understand, and stuff like that. So it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, I don't know. Still getting pinged every once in a while for new job offer stuff, so it can't be too bad right now.
Yeah, but you have to be hella stringent. You have to be like a interrogator now. You can't just take anything just because they claim that you'll make this hourly rate. Like you have to make sure that when you get there, you're not working with clowns. That
Yeah. Well, these are some FTE positions though.
okay.
I
Well,
wonder if there's
still,
maybe a. I wonder if maybe I don't know. It seemed like it actually upticked in the last week for remote opportunities and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's because of maybe they have actually let some people go already that are kind of in their bottom tiers and they actually still need the position yet.
I
I
remember
don't know.
six
I wouldn't
months
want to
ago.
work for any of those companies though.
6 months ago, it was like an Indian consulting firm, and I think it was like $100 an hour to work out of state. I think it was like Massachusetts, and so they extended an offer, and I'm like, um, you want me to relocate, and I don't even know who I'm going to be working with, what the project is, right? So if I'm going to entertain this offer, I need to interview the people I'm working with, and I'm not just talking about the manager. I'm talking about I need to interview the developers. I'm not going to spend a couple $1,000s relocating, and then probably another a couple $1,000s realizing that it was a mistake and trying to get back to Miami, right? Of course, I didn't tell them that latter part, but I'm like, yo, I need to make sure that this is an environment I could succeed in. So they retracted their offer. But they're asking me to pack up and move out of state for a year. But you don't want me to know who the people I'm going to be working with is. Anyway, that's why I mentioned like you got to interrogate them in this economic, I don't know, session. environment.
Yeah. I'm realizing though, like I think my next job, if it's in software development, I don't want to do the exact same thing I'm doing now, which is like normal .NET full stack development type thing. I want to work on something just completely different. The thing I was thinking about though is that after you've built up skills in a particular technology, that's like your stack. That's what you get paid for now. So you can't just like if you want to jump into some other, you know, some completely different type of development. Like let's say I don't want to go to embedded, but let's say I wanted to go to embedded. Like that's a whole different ball game. So I mean, my value isn't very high there. I'd have to learn everything. So you kind of once you pick something, you're kind of stuck in it. It seems like unless you're willing to just take a cut and restart from the bottom.
Well, I think that's assuming if you rely on recruiters and you're not behaving as your own independent software vendor, right? So, like,
Yeah.
and I think we had this conversation a couple weeks ago where I really need help marketing myself as a software company and not a .NET programmer. Like, you come to me, you tell me what your problem is, where it hurts, and I'll tell you what I'm going to build and how it's going to solve your problems. And then you decide if you want to give me the money, right? No more conversations about React, no more conversations about, I don't know, Kafka, no conversations about Azure this, Azure that. I want to graduate to a level where I build you a solution and you're not going to tell me what tools I use, right? And I don't know how to get there.
Have
I
you have you do you follow Eric Dietrich at all? 'Cause
no
I think that's part of his shtick, isn't it? The developer hegemony thing.
hegemony.
Or
Is it hegemony or hegemony?
I think it's pronounced hegemony. At least when I listened to Eric's talk about it on podcasts, and I think he
Yeah,
pronounces it hegemony.
that I mean,
It looks like
that,
hegemony.
so I'm familiar
Hegemony.
with a couple of the podcasts that he's done. I think he did one on Software Engineering Radio. He did one on .NET Rocks.
Hmm.
He probably did one on Developer on Fire too. Um, if he has an audio book, I'll buy it. But I don't want to read a book. I just want to listen to it. I'll pay to listen to it. I don't want to.
Yeah,
When you read, you can't do anything else. You just have to literally like focus on that one thing. You can't program. You can't work out. You have to literally read a book. So I'm not cool with that. But that's the thing. I'm tired of people telling me what tools I'm supposed to use.
yeah. So you have to become your own delivery shop,
I don't
basically.
I don't know how to
How to do that?
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to have
I think this
good
for
marketing.
starters, I probably need to have a website that instead of me, it's the company. And then I don't know what legal is going to be, but uh, create screenshots of the apps that I've built that have to be professional looking, which means that I was paid to do it because those look a lot better than the apps that I do on my hobby projects. Right?
Yeah,
Like I think I would have to literally like have a website that's company focused and not software craftsmanship focused.
yeah. But I mean, after that, then it's you're not talking to recruiters about things. You have to be talking with you know
CTOs.
CTOs, CIOs, directors, those kinds of people making decisions about outsourcing software to a different firm. Um, And you probably have to have a specialty for sure. I don't know if you're in a, if you're in a particular niche, it's probably a little bit easier. You could probably look at how like, is it Andrea Goulet, and I think that's her name, with her Corgi Bites firm, how they do
Oh
their marketing and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Um, you know I was on that show, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I was on there.
They have a
You're talking about
they have a podcast.
Legacy Code Rocks, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was on there. I was on there last year.
Yeah, but I mean they have a particular niche and they advertise for it extremely well. So uh, you could probably look for some inspiration there and maybe ping up some of these people that are more in those positions who are doing that kind of
What do you mean you?
business work.
We, you're looking for the same thing, no?
Yeah, yeah, I kind of
No,
am, but I
that doesn't
just
sound like it.
I don't see my skill set being very strong in this department. Like I wish it was, and I mean I could learn, but when you're talking about before, where you go into a meeting and you're like, I know exactly what I'm going to offer, and I'll give them two options, even though there's a bunch, but it's going to be what I think is best. I literally sit in that same meeting and spout out about 10 different things that people could try because my mind's constantly working on different ways of solving the problem. And I come across pretty scatterbrained, and that does not translate well to business
Yeah, I'm
people.
the same way. Like, if we're having a conversation and obviously it's verbal, I analyze the hell out of everything and I'll just bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I think like if I sit down and write it out, I think I do a reasonable good job. And so
Yeah.
that's what I did for this project. I like because I mean half the time I'm a stuttering idiot when I'm trying to articulate something in front of the CTO or CEO. And so I'll take that morning or that evening and I'll create like a dissertation, bullet points, a whole bunch of header fonts and all that stuff. I mean that's what I did like 3 weeks ago. After reading the book Writing Software, I was like, "Yo, I'm about to do a project design. Never heard of that before, but that's what I'm about to do." And I just wrote everything out, and I said, "Okay, here's the three options. If we do this option, then the advantages are this, the disadvantages are that. This other option, the advantages are this, disadvantages are that, and the the consequences are always the amount of time and quality, right? And money."
Yep.
And then they just said, "Yeah, we're gonna go with that one." I'm like, "Oh, they actually picked with what I provided them, and they didn't tell me what they thought." All right, I think I might be on to something moving forward in the future.
There you go. Yeah, writing up stuff is a little different for sure. It takes me a long time to write up anything, but uh, it's definitely a more effective way of getting your ideas across when you are afflicted with a bit of scatterbrainedness.
Oh yeah, they asked me to write up everything that's wrong with the code base. That I think it was slated to take 6 months, and it's been over like 2 years, and like three different teams working on it over time. And like, yeah, I wrote a dissertation on it. I could have got a PhD on that paper.
Yeah. Well,
And
three different teams
it
on
kind
it.
of
Probably there.
sucks because I'm almost positive they showed the lead developer what I wrote, and he was like my supervisor, and so that kind of put some static between us. But
Yeah.
you told me to write it up everything that's wrong with it. What I'm supposed to do, lie and say everything is buttery? No, it's been a couple years and it's still not delivered yet. Like they want me to write something, so I'm going to do a brain dump on everything that I would do differently. This is always going to be hindsight, but what? I can't say that this is a flawless, magnificent, pristine code base. It's not. So
Yeah. Yeah. No code base ever is.
mine is. If I show you the code base that I'm working on right now, you're like, Scott, this might be the eighth wonder of the world. And I would agree. So,
You gonna agree with that 4 years from now?
what's up?
In 4 years from now, are you gonna agree with that though?
Um,
You look back at it and go, what piece of shit was I writing back then?
4 years from now, I'll be surprised if I'm still writing in F sharp.
Really? Just the direction people are going.
Damn people.
Maybe
Um,
going with Scala now, or
4 years from now, I'm not sure if Idris is still being worked on, but I would like to graduate to a programming language that has dependent types done right. Are you familiar with dependent types?
nope. Educate me.
Um, I'll probably screw this up, but there's statically typed programming languages. I think they're all functional, in which they offer a feature in their compiler called uh, dependency types, in
Mm-hmm.
which you can compute a type. So this can be like beneficial when it comes to making illegal states unrepresentable. So say that you are building some uh, health insurance software, right? And with health insurance, age is a major factor, and there might be there may be specific tiers or plans that are available depending on age, ethnicity, where you live, etc. And so, if you really want to take advantage of the compiler, you can compute a type for someone being between the age of 18 to 26 and is a Caucasian female or whatever. It's basically whenever you wish that you can create a type, but it depends on other factors, like if a whole bunch of branches um,
Mm-hmm.
within Calc, within Idris. I think Haskell had an attempt of it, but I'm not sure if it's been embraced. There's programming languages out there that allow you to compute these types. Else, the alternative is smart constructors, where you either create some and then you have that type, or you have nothing at all. And so, I mean, that's my attempt of explaining it.
So when you say compute the types, are you talking like it's a combination of like the type is defined by both literal values and actual computation, like
I think another example, hope maybe this is better, is I need an array that is exactly that is exactly 9 elements. Right now, like within your mainstream languages, like you can't do that. You can only create an array. And I mean, you can have a smart constructor that will either create it or not create it, and then you have to check to see if it was created, right? But
mhm.
within Idris, Calc, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, and some of these other functional programming languages, they actually provide the ability for you to create an array that is exactly 9 elements, and that is the type that you pass around, right?
Okay,
So it won't compile if it's 8 elements. It won't compile if it's 11 elements. So you're able to be precise in the exact types that you need, so that there's no conditional statements regarding it. You never ever have to check about the traits or properties of that type. It's as precise as you can make it.
yeah. So the constraints, it's even more constraining in terms of the way the types are.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Well, it's pretty neat until you take into consideration the compilation time in order to
Do all the
entertain.
checking.
Yeah, and so I'm sure it's a lot longer. I'm not sure what the actual uh, numbers are, but anyway, we I'm saying all this because you said in 4 years, like in 4 years, I hope that one of these languages moves into the family of languages, or I'll butcher that, where Clojure, F sharp, Haskell, and all that stuff is today. I hope 4 years from now, those types of languages will be within reach. That 1% of developers are programming that, or programming in those languages, but that 1%, you know, is about 50,000 developers distributed across 7 or 8 billion people. So where there's still a community on Twitter, there's still an area on Stack Overflow where you can have your questions answered. So in 4 years from now, if this is to progress in regards to engineering software and getting things right, that's where I want to be.
Cool. You ever think about writing your own
No,
language? No.
can someone do that and like still raise a family?
Write a language? I think so. It will take many,
Well, it's
many,
one thing to
many
write a
years,
language.
but
It's another thing to write a production level. This language is going to be adopted. It's going to live for at least 20 years. I mean, no one knows that up front, right? No, I can't see myself. I struggle when, okay. you- Did you have to write a compiler in college?
no, no, I didn't take that class. I wanted to, but it just didn't work. It wasn't on the cards
Yeah.
for me.
So I wrote a compiler using Visual Basic 6 for, I think the name of the class was compilers and something. And that was 40 pages of code. Of course, I mean, I was in college, right? So like, I'm sure the code that I wrote probably could have been done in probably like 5 pages instead of 40 pages. But I say all this because, and I think I still have the book at home in Miami. Is like that stuff. There's a lot to write in a compiler, and that was from like 13 years ago. I don't know. The answer is no.
Yeah, I've sat down a couple times to try working on it, but I've never made it out of the parsing phase.
Yeah, I just remember T records. Now I can't even tell you what T records are, but I remember having. Let me see. T record. T record. Maybe I say compiler.
T record.
No, I don't see T record on here. I'm not sure where I got that term from. Do I make it one word instead of a space? Yeah, I don't know. The answer is no.
Because that's a very fast way to becoming the leading expert on something is if you develop a great language that everyone wants to use, and then you're the one who made it, so you're the expert.
Don Syme, Rich Hickey, Anders
Yeah,
Heinberg, however you say his name. The scholar guy, I forgot his name.
yeah. Guido Van Rossum or whatever, it's the Python guy. Yeah.
So, are you going to complete your table?
Ah, snow is melting, so it should be warm eventually here. I'll probably go out there some weekend and finish it up.
How are you dealing with everything being closed?
I'm not sure my liver is gonna make it out of this period alive, but
Oh, you got a bar?
no, we have um like brew houses or whatever, the tap rooms that are closing up. So try to keep them afloat, get growlers and stuff like that. So, but being at home kind of sucks all the time. Well, it's not so bad. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that you can't choose to do anything else.
Yeah. Well,
That sucks.
I feel sorry for people that live in one bedroom apartments with their partners. Like to have to deal with those people every single day for nearly 24 hours. Like at least in a house, like I'm in a house right now and it's like four bedrooms and like I made one of them my office and it just feels good because I just don't have to interact with people and I don't have to look at them. Like I could just close the door, hop on my computer
Yeah,
for
that's where
three
I am.
hours.
Got an office in one of our 4 bedrooms, so
Yeah, so like in the event that I have a family, I can't do. Well, I mean, I can't. Obviously, I can't do. I have to have my own man cave. Period. That's mine. No one's allowed in there. Like put a padlock on it. Like, and that would be my private retreat.
it'll be
Either
a
that,
closet one day. You'll have a closet. It'll be a large closet, but it'll still be a closet.
well, either
And that's
that,
where your man cave is.
or I'll just get another crib, like a one bedroom, like in Fort Lauderdale, or maybe downtown, and that would be my retreat area. So I'll just like what. F you, hop on my motorcycle, go to my other crib, chill.
Yeah, I've thought about that if I were to get a fully remote position to just go and rent either if there was a shared working space type thing, or just rent an office space and just go to work as if it's going to work, but then I'd just be by myself at work.
Well, you said shared office space, so you'll be networking with people.
Yeah, yeah. If there, I think there's enough probably interest in one in the town that I lived for one to crop up. It's just it needs enough seed people, I suppose. But
I've been just going to Starbucks, and it used to be Panera Bread, but now I just go to Starbucks because it's a lot closer.
yeah, but the I don't know. I can't work. I can't code on a laptop without. I mean, I can, but without keyboard and mouse and just your standard setup, it's like drop in productivity.
I wouldn't know. I've been using this laptop for a while, and I've never had a proper office environment at home where I could just recline on a chair and have two monitors or three. Yeah. So this laptop is fine for me. But
Gotcha.
then again, I mean, I don't really use the mouse all that much. I'm pretty good just using the keyboard for navigating everywhere.
Yeah, I've gotten good. I mean, fairly good at using the keyboard for things, but I still go to the mouse for a lot of stuff that some people, don't go for. I guess it depends on it's like I got to move halfway across the screen or what. But yeah, I know people are pretty. I guess have you ever had a pair with somebody who uses the mouse way too much? Like
Yes.
even for copy and paste,
I start getting angry.
like, oh, I'm just gonna highlight this thing,
I think we talked about this
right
before.
click, copy. Oh, I can get
No, watching someone like it sounds minor, but watching someone every time you pair a program with them and they want to build the solution, they literally scroll to the top of the screen, file menu, build. Well, it's not the file menu, whatever it is,
yeah,
build every single time. Like they do the mouse for everything. And I'm like, for navigating to a file, they'll drill through the solution explorer, scroll, and then they find the file and then they double click it. Like,
yeah. I do that one though. Still, I don't know
oh
why.
my
I
God.
know I can search for the file, but I don't know why I still drill into the tree menu to find stuff, and I have no idea why.
Like they are literally wasting my life watching them use the IDE. Like you're disrespecting the IDE when you do that. That's disrespectful. Like, I don't know. It's weird when you come out of your cave and you're forced to interact with other people and you watch how they interact with an environment and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shoot.
Hmm.
But
Gotcha.
there's a $2 trillion bill that was passed.
In the Senate, it hasn't gone through the. I don't think it's gone through the House yet.
All right, so we went from $20 trillion to 22 trillion. That
Yeah, likely. Unless they're just printing the money.
they are.
Well, it's borrowing or printing. Borrowing is a little different.
Who you gonna
Um,
borrow money from? China?
no, it's usually from ourselves. We sell
Yeah, that's
bonds
what
and
national
things.
debt is, right?
Yeah, it's just money the government owes the people. So it's like tax, but it's not.
So here's the
But yeah.
question: can Trump say, "Oh, China, this is your fault. You should never let this pandemic reach other countries. So we're going to make you pay for this. We're going to make you fund our $2 trillion bill." And he raises tariffs on Chinese goods again.
Yeah, I mean he could, but that would harpoon the trade bill that has gone into phase one or whatever. So I don't think the point was ever to flat out just stop trade from China, but it was more to try to equalize it. But the funny thing is that I think that after this is all done, a lot of uh, stuff will come back from China just because of like security type things. Um, like if you have all your supply chain in another country and the other country shuts down, what happens to you? So it's kind of a national security type thing. I still think we'll get all of our cheap, toys and things from China, but anything that's you know strategic in terms of health or whatever will probably end up coming back here. At least you'd hope. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know how other things are gonna look like when this is all done.
I wonder if, well, code camps are all shut down too, right?
Well, the virtual ones are still, I'm sure, but in-person ones are probably gone, and where they've moved to being totally virtual.
I get so upset that all the code camps, everybody's like, their language is JavaScript in 2020. Like,
Well, that's what
our
I'm
next
like.
generation of people that are going to lead the world in automating everything, the Skynet is going to be running off of JavaScript. Like
No,
they're still, well,
no.
hell, they're still using JavaScript as the core language
Yeah, and
for teaching.
you're writing small little web apps for people and stuff like that, which is a need. But you're
No,
not
they use
writing.
JavaScript for everything. Isn't that how GNOME came to be? Node came to be?
Well,
Like,
yeah, I mean, Node became was hey, we like doing JavaScript. Let's do it on the server too. But I mean, I don't think JavaScript will be. TypeScript will do pretty well. I don't think JavaScript's going to last. You can't write anything scalable in JavaScript without really, really like strict testing practices and things. It's
yeah, which is
painful.
non-existent.
Yeah. So but TypeScript is pretty good.
How come I don't? I mean, I hear great things about TypeScript, but I don't. I don't hear about entire conferences on TypeScript. You know what I mean? Like I never heard anybody bash TypeScript. Everybody has good things to say about TypeScript, but
Yeah,
I've never heard like a TypeScript centric conference.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it's a Microsoft owned thing. You don't have an F sharp centric conference, do you? Or do you?
Yeah, there's F sharp conference, F sharp conf in San Francisco.
Visual Basic Conf? Is there a Visual Basic Conf? No, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a TypeScript Conf. I don't know.
And TypeScript didn't really be embraced until they hopped in bed with Angular, right?
Yeah, there's a TypeScript Conf.
Is there? It's
Apparently.
just online.
No, Seattle, Washington. It was in October
Okay.
last year, and I mean it's Microsoft, Google is there, Ionic, yeah, a bunch of people.
I
So
wonder what this year's build is going to expose. Build conference.
not coronavirus, that's for sure.
Do you think there's anything on the radar that they're going to try to herd developers into doing?
You mean in
So I remember in 2012, the Build conference was trying to herd developers into. It could have been 2013, one of those years. The Build conference was trying to herd developers into doing game programming
oh,
because that's when like Angry Birds was like the hottest stuff, and so like WinJS, everything was all about games and C++ and what was it called? Was it Unity?
yeah,
That was
roughly.
the gaming engine on .NET.
Yeah, well, it uses C sharp, but um,
No, 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 it wasn't Unity. what was that framework that they had that you could
XNA.
write XNA? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that would have been 2012 time frame. Yeah, it was still been
I think
kicking
so.
then. Yeah, it would have still been kicking then. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Was that when? Well, if it's WinJS era, that's Windows 8 time frame then, right? So they were looking for people to develop apps, is what they wanted. Games, getting games and stuff on theirs was a that's a big part of it. But yeah, I don't know. They're gonna push Blazor maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's on. I'm so busy, man. Like it's something that I want to learn, but I feel like it's going to take 6 months of my life.
But you already know C sharp, so should be 5 minutes of your time, right?
It's not about C sharp though. I think it's the whole. It's still the same stack, right? It's still CSS and HTML. You just removing JavaScript from the equation from the trio.
Yeah, well, I think JavaScript still has a place in it, but I don't think it's not the primary place where you do logic. So, but
I was going to ask something. I'm trying to remember.
I kind of want to be able to open up a project in Visual Studio, a new one that's like just a WebAssembly C sharp console app. No Blazor, like no whatever. I just want to write C sharp that runs in the browser, and then you have the DOM manipulation, just kind of build it from scratch type stuff. But Blazor's more of like a full on, seems to be more of like a full on. Here's how you build a spa type thing, not a not really a here's the building blocks, go make something cool.
Uh, have you been looking at the Twitter war I've been involved in? I check my Twitter every like 4 days now.
Dude, I got nervous. I got kind of pissed the other day because there's this. I've one time let slip the politics on Twitter, and then I got just like hammered. Not hammered, but a lot of people were just like, you know, spewing at me. So, but I haven't seen your
You want to look at it with me?
sure.
Uh,
Who are you yelling at now? Let's
I'm
see.
not yelling at anybody. People just get upset with me. So, 15 messages. Uh, less trolling, more than that. Oh, I don't. It's not too bad. No one's calling me. Last time it was pretty bad. Please consider if you like your seed that your attempted advocacy is net negative. Huh, here we go. Uh, hey, Don Time liked one of my things. Anyways, here's my. How do I turn this off? Stop
What
sharing.
started that whole chain?
I so there's some. How do I make this thing bigger? There's some. There's a dude named Corey House.
Oh yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
And he had tweeted that he finds like switch statements useful.
Oh, it's still that one?
Well, no,
Okay.
that was ground zero, and I was like, switch statements are for amateurs. Professional developers flex with discriminating unions, and then like I caught hell for that because it was Corey House, and I was supposed to know my role. FM, I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna say FM, but like, who is he? I'm Scott Nimrod. So then I seen another tweet where someone else was talking about. They said something about C sharp, or maybe it was switch statements. They said something that was object oriented centric, and so I then said something like, amateurs programming in object oriented programming languages, professionals, blah 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 blah. And so I started attracting like an angry mob of angry, inadequate uh, developers that like to use 20-plus-year-old languages to solve real world problems in 2020. And so, like, people started telling me, that I'm a disgrace to the F sharp community because I'm not encouraging people. And then I fired back, and I was like, no, no, you are purposely creating hella overhead technical debt, and you're costing your customers money because you continue to use an error-prone language when there's more modern solutions to alleviate those types of concerns. And so I just started going in, and then more people started telling me that I was a horrible person and I need to stop tweeting and I need to be more compassionate. And I said, no, I will not, as long as people are being wasteful and exercising gross negligence. And so I just kept on going back and forth with them. What's weird is I gained like another like 10 followers.
We're just trolling, or were you being?
No, I was trolling. I was only trolling because someone told me um that I wasn't being nice when I made a joke that real developers flex with discriminated unions and switch statements are what amateurs use. And so when they said that to me and they were dead serious, and like
Mhm.
I was obviously like just cracking a joke. Like it's like being at a bar and you like, I don't know, you crack a joke telling someone that they're weak because of whatever. That's all I was doing. But like
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of vaginas on Twitter.
I wonder how much would have changed if you would have put like a
Smiley
laughing
face.
emoji at the end of it. Just
Uh,
just that little bit of, because you can't gauge emotion. Like if you were in person, you said that depending on how you framed it, you could have totally different reactions to it. But on Twitter, people just interject whatever they think you're saying. So like if they want to see you saying it angrily and be like, no, you guys are being stupid and whatever, that's what
they're
they'll interject. So
they're not acting like guys. They're not. They're acting like they have vaginas. That's the way they're behaving right now. And it's like it just annoys me. Like you have to be so politically correct in everything. And I just got tired of it. So I told one dude that he needs to man up and stop being soft. I just started. I started borderline going John Simez on people.
And then the was it the did the TypeScript person point out that that's how discriminated unions are done by switch statements?
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah,
replied, I didn't know that. All
yeah,
right.
it's kind of
So,
neat. Yeah,
yeah, I try to acknowledge my ignorance,
but
but
yeah, it was a joke. So
yeah,
people get over themselves. Yeah,
yeah. So
but yeah, but then if they blast, into my freaking ears every single hour something about Trump, like they're just okay. Like same people would be, oh, don't be so toxic and stuff like that, but here they're spouting f words and
oh,
misinformation and shit all the time.
you still remember when I got into it when that lady was saying she made a comment about guys feeling the need to have observers in a room whenever they're meeting with women, and she was telling men to grow up, and I chimed in like, no. I caught hell for that. Oh my god, I got so much hate mail. It's just it's just weird, man.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not a radical and ultra liberal, and if you have any logical like reasoning to challenge some of their like dogmatism, you will have a whole mob calling you names and just attacking you. It's weird because it's and I used to listen to a lot of Ben Shapiro. Is that how you say his name? Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro.
Oh, Shapiro. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird because if the ultra conservatives behave that same way, oh, they would be called ex Klansmen and neo Nazis. It's just weird how like it's just weird. Companies are aligning them, organizations or corporations are aligning themselves. They're getting rainbow emblems of everything. I don't I don't understand why a corporation has to associate itself towards penises and buttholes. I don't get that at all. Like, why is sexuality? Why is sexuality a part of your affiliation? Like, I don't understand that. So I'm done. I'm done venting and ranting.
It's all right.
3 more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I almost slipped into it this last week because it was, like I said, there's a Trump press conference and he attacked some journalists. I'm like, and that's what, everyone was just sharing and laughing and just, being like, oh, this is the worst president, blah blah blah. And I'm like, you realize there were a lot of other important things said during that, and you know this is the thing that you're going to amplify with your voice on here,
Uh,
is that Trump attacked a reporter, which he does all the time. And you could say he's right or wrong depending on how you feel about it, but the thing is Trump being Trump isn't news. What like one of the big things from that press conference was that I think Trump said that he would demand that there would be no stock buybacks if they do a bailout, which was, I think, big news. Uh, and I'd like to see it held to that, but that wasn't like raised up at all. Like it was Trump attacked this reporter who was dogging him. That was, and I'm just like, why are we why are you guys just spitting this up when there's all this other important stuff going on right now, and you should take time to
because
filter that stuff out and raise stuff that people actually care about.
because the majority of society cares about tabloids. The majority of society they care about they focus on people. They don't focus on ideas. They don't focus on technology. They focus on people, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the issue. And it's going to continue being that because that's what generates money in ads. I talk about you. I talk about what you're wearing. I talk about what you have for breakfast. I talk about who doesn't like you. I talk about everything that's people centric and not about future centric of society, nature, global warming, blah, 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 economic impacts. They don't care about that stuff. And the
Yeah.
majority of the consumers don't care about that stuff. People that consume don't care about that stuff. They care about people. So,
Yeah, that's why I pretty much the only political voice that I trust on Twitter right now is Scott Adams. So like it's bad how the mainstream media really is with this stuff and what they choose to focus on. That's the big thing. It is not at all news that Trump attacks a reporter
yeah,
and trolls him. Like
I
that is
don't,
just plainly not news, but it was the biggest headline of the other day. Like it was the
well, that's based on the platform that you choose. I go to Al Jazeera, man.
yeah.
And like, because CNN just annoys me. Al Jazeera isn't as bad. Um, and so, like, usually with Al
Yeah,
Jazeera, they're not talking about celebrities all the time.
yeah, I've heard
CNN
BBC is
talks about
pretty good
celebrities
too.
all the time. That's headlines, right?
Yeah, I've heard the BBC is pretty good too in terms of global news, but
Is it BBC.com?
I'm not sure. Is it because it's the British broadcasting, but they don't have as much stake in the U.S. So it's
Well,
just
neither does Al
reporting on
Jazeera.
U.S. Yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
Al Jazeera is the same. Although Al Jazeera is owned by CNN, so
is it?
I think so.
I don't
Yeah,
think so. Hold up.
I'm pretty sure that CNN bought them back back in the day.
I don't even know how to spell Al Jazeera. I'm not going to find it out. Hold up. I'm going to type in CNN.
Yeah, at least maybe I got that wrong. It's relationship because I thought that CNN bought them way back when they during the Iraqi war time frame. Like I have distinct memories of that being a thing, but maybe they just entered an agreement or something.
Maybe I should start going to Reuters. How do you say it? Reuters? Reuters?
Routers. I don't know.
We live in a very confused world. It makes you think about bringing children into this world.
Well, I'm already beyond that.
I understand that the news sensationalizes everything that's negative. I get it. Okay, I'm depressed now.
Yeah, I think I just got that wrong, man. I totally remember that happening. It's a blip in the simulation. It never happened. There's no record of it.
Well, it's 8:33, so it's been real. Last question: how's it
Yep.
feel to not have to commute anymore? Is it a
Well, my
curse?
commute
Is
was
it
never
good?
too bad, so
Okay.
I'm sure everyone's loving not having to commute, and I'm just like, well, I guess I get 13 minutes of my day back. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nice to get out of the house though too, a couple times a day.
Yeah. All right.
So,
It's
all
been
right.
real. Thanks.
Yep. Next week I'm gonna have my new business to launch. I'll tell you.
I'll probably spend maybe 2 or 3 hours working on this event store to run on Azure. Oh yeah. Really quick. So in my video that I recorded like several days ago, I was like, "Damn, I don't know what my primary key is going to be for events, right?" And make long story short, I decided that I was just going to use UTC ticks because they should be guaranteed to be unique or almost. It's like, I'm talking about universal time, whatever. Instead of, because the alternative would be reading the entire table and then adding one to the count of items in that table and then making that my primary key. Kind of like in SQL Server when you have auto increment for your
Can't you just
primary key.
generate a GUID for it?
No, I don't think it could be. I thought it had to be a number.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I
You,
don't know what the. I don't know if it's a numeric. I guess if you're constrained by numeric types, then yeah, that makes sense.
you may be right. I thought it had to be a number though.
For
Um,
like, is this for in what Azure or like?
you might be right. Yeah, this is Azure Storage Tables.
Hmm.
I think you're right. I don't know why I didn't consider that.
I mean, if it's like SQL Server, you can have obviously GUIDs as your primary key or whatever unique identifiers or whatnot they're called.
There's trade-offs with that, right? In regards to performance, if you have hella data.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not looking, uh, but I guess in most applications, do you really need to optimize that much for stuff? Like, there's a lot of things you can do to optimize a database, but are we
Well,
talking about a magnitude of difference in performance, or are we talking about no human distinguishable time
well,
in aggregate?
so for a startup, it probably doesn't matter. But if you're a consultant and you're building for a Fortune 500 company that has like hundreds of millions of records or whatever, then yeah, it matters.
Yeah,
Uh, I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers and they were using SQL Server, and the database that I was working off of, the primary keys were GUID types, and it was an issue, right? I'm not sure if that was the key factor in the performance issue,
it might have
but
been there. So, like at the place that I work, when we can use GUIDs as the primary key, but the big thing that we had to do is we have to introduce an integer value to use as the as a clustered index. Because if you make a GUID a clustered index, then it's really slow. But if you use an integer value for the clustered index, if you have a non-clustered index with GUIDs, it's fine. So
yeah. So you already lost me when you started saying clusters. But
yeah, I don't really understand other than I know the terms. I don't know the specifics of. It has something to do with the way that the rows are generated aligned. If you use integer values, it knows right where to go. But if you have GUIDs, then there's scans and things that it has to do, and it's just not very efficient to use. Apparently, to use string values or GUID values as clustered indexes. So, which is what you get by default with the primary key of GUID.
yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Well, it's been real. I need to write some more code so I could demo how awesome I am at the daily status meeting this morning.
all right, do it.
All right, Sean. It's been real. Take
Yep.
care.
Have a good one. See you next
Yep.
week. Bye.
Bye.